Hey everyone, welcome to our small footprint. My name is Nyssa, and if you're new here, we are a family of 8 who live off-grid in Australia. Now, part of our shtick is that we shop every 8 to 10 weeks, and part of that, the whole process of doing that means that I do a lot of food prep, planning and preservation throughout the couple of weeks post each grocery haul, because we have to. We buy in bulk, and then that bulk stuff, I've probably got really bad lighting behind me, but anyway, I'm standing up near the freezers. Because we buy in bulk, we have to sort stuff so that it doesn't go bad, because the whole goal here is to get the most use out of everything that we buy and be mindful about what we buy and the quantities that we buy and what we need for the period of time that we're eating it. So it is Sunday. I got back Friday evening from the groceries. Yesterday was a pretty slow day. I didn't do a whole lot yesterday other than reorganize the fridges and freezers and stuff. So I'm going to show you that for the moment. And then I need to get started on sorting some food. So we do not have enough fridge space that all the fruit can go into the fridge as soon as we get home. We have to process some of the fruit within the first couple of days, and the veggies and things like that, and some of the meat and stuff and all that sort of thing. And especially when it's summer, so it's not massively hot at the moment. We're getting to 30, 35 during the day. It's not too bad, but obviously that's too hot for fruit and stuff that's been stored in cold rooms until we've brought it home. So today I'm going to work through some dragon fruit first up, I think. The broccoli is still in an styrofoam ice container, so it's staying chilled, but it needs to be handled fairly quickly. And I think most other things made it into fridges other than some of the freebie fruit. So I do need to cut up those apples and stuff like that, but I'm getting ahead of myself. First up, let me show you the freezer. So the freezer still has plenty of room, and this is on purpose because we need flat space to freeze fruits and veg, but also the meat hasn't been processed yet, except for these were the bone-in chicken thighs that came from the Woolworths deli. So these have been in the deli. We don't know how long they've been defrosted for and all that, so we bag them up straight away. Normally I would vacuum seal them, but I couldn't get to my vacuum sealer, and it's fine. So we've also got some of the bacon and things like that in here too. There's those chicken schnitzels that I bought that were pre-frozen, stuff like that. But most of the other stuff is still in fridges and stuff. So we did yesterday go through and freeze a couple of the bags of grapes. So these will need to be now bagged up. I have a bunch of these Ziploc bags that we reuse for fruit, and they go in here. There's a whole bunch of empty ones here. So anything that is fruit related just goes there, and then that way once we freeze fruit it can all just go back in those bags. So this tray will go there, and then we'll freeze something else on these trays. So we need some flat space to be able to freeze this stuff fairly quickly, which is why we leave it somewhat empty. This is our upright fridge that has all our open stuff in it. So we've also got piles of strawberries in here at the moment, and any jars of bits and pieces that needed to go in, drawer full of apples and stuff like that. So I decided to start with cauliflower, actually, rather than the dragon fruit, because I didn't realise that these didn't end up in the fridge. So I've had to do a little bit of trimming to get some browning and spots off them, but it's fine. The little bit of oxidization is fine. I've just trimmed the worst of it off. And I'm going to turn this into cauliflower rice, basically. That was the intent of purchasing it. This was a clearance box of cauliflower, and it was pretty cheap because the heads were already starting to split a little bit, which is fine by me. So it works out much cheaper than buying pre-shredded frozen cauliflower rice. So the attempt is going to be to turn it into our own cauliflower rice and see how we go. We haven't had much luck with freezing vegetables, but I'm hoping that because it'll be in like a cauliflower rice type texture, we won't have as much problem with like broccoli and stuff. What we found is by the time it's heated through, it's just got an odd texture, but in cauliflower rice type thing, hopefully we will avoid that. So all I've got one head in here, and I'm going to try 5 seconds speed 5 or 3 seconds speed 5 and then see how it looks. I did 5 because it seemed to look like it needed it. There we go. We got cauliflower rice. So that is the goal. I'm going to turn the rest of it into this. If there's a nice looking head, I'll keep it for dinner tonight. I'll stick it in the fridge and keep it for dinner tonight. But if they're all a little bit sad looking, then I'll just turn it all into cauliflower rice. So now I'm going to grab Ziploc bags and decide how much, I don't know how much weight is like one head worth. The bags of frozen cauliflower rice that I buy are 500 grams, and we would probably use sort of 300-ish in a meal. if it was just Darryl and I eating it. So that's what I might have a look at what that, so that's 300 grams. If that'll fit in one of these nicely, that might be what I go for. Yeah, that's sort of a good portion, I reckon. So I'm going to aim for about 300 grams per bag, and we'll see. We tend to go easy on eating it when I buy the frozen stuff, because the frozen stuff ends up being $10 per kilo, which is pretty darn expensive. So if once I figure this out and how much we get out of it, I'll have a look at the price per that we've ended up with. That's almost 200 grams. So it was almost 500 grams per head. So that's not bad. So I'm just going to keep on going. And once I've got it all sorted, I'll come back and I'll let you know what I ended up with. You can do a couple with some broccoli rice mixed in there as well. So I'm just going to see how that mixes up and add it to some of the cauliflower rice and have some mixed ones depending on what dish I'm eating them with. So I'm going to do the same thing. The broccoli's a bit softer, so I'm not sure if it's going to need the full 5 seconds. Someone dropping by, so the dogs were going off their nuts. So let's go back to this. We've got some broccoli rice. So yeah, that's gone a lot smaller than the cauliflower rice, but I think it'll be fine. So I had 100 grams in here of cauliflower. So I'm going to top this up to the 300 just because easier to do that with this one, though it looks like there's a lot more bulk in the broccoli versus weight, but that one's a mix there. And then I will put like 100 grams of this in a couple of bags and we'll top that up with cauliflower. As I said, I'll show you what I ended up with at the end. Alright, so it makes a bit of a mess, but other than that, so we've got 300 gram bags, some with broccoli, some with cauliflower. The cauliflower box that I bought, I'm pretty sure it was like $24 for the box. I didn't count how many heads were in it. I gave some to a neighbour. We ate 2 heads last night, I think. And then this is what's left. I decided to just do it all up because we got plenty of veggies to eat at the moment, and cauliflower just doesn't last real well unless it's nice and cool. And so anyway, so what have I got? 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18, 21, 24, 27, 30, 33, 36, 39, 42. So 4.2 kilos of riced cauliflower broccoli, and it costs $10 a kilo to buy in store. So this is like $42 worth of cauliflower rice, but I only paid $24, I think, for the box of cauliflower, and we've eaten some of it, and this is what I got left. So definitely worthwhile. I was pretty sure it would be, but I hadn't really done the maths as such because I just didn't know how much was in a box of cauliflower. But even if the cauliflower was twice the price, we're still getting more out of it than buying it pre-frozen. So that will definitely be what I will aim to do. And now I know around about what. See, cauliflower heads are always different, depends on how open they are, how closed, how much leafage and all the rest of it, because the weights of them and that. But I believe that unless I'm paying like $50 or $60 for a box of cauliflower, that doing it this way is going to net me more end product than buying frozen cauliflower. So that is fantastic to know. Another thing to add to the idea. And it wasn't that time consuming. Yes, I've made a mess, and yes, you know, it was 20 minutes work maybe, and that was it. So hopefully we like how this, I can't see how we couldn't, because the cauliflower rice that you buy frozen is exactly the same. It's just cauliflower, riced and frozen. So anyway, I'll let you know how we go through the month. In regards to the Ziploc bags, because I know that'll get asked, what I do is when these Ziploc bags are used, so this was used for cauliflower, they go in the freezer. Overnight time when I cook that batch of cauliflower rice, that Ziploc bag will go back into the freezer in the same place I stashed all those other used Ziploc bags, and that way we don't have to worry about trying to get them clean because they're always stored in the freezer, and then I reuse them for the same thing. So the fruit Ziplocs tend to get used for more fruit. The cauliflower ones, they will get used for cauliflower next month, so they all just get rolled up together, put and stored in the freezer so they're perfectly clean, and then we'll use for the next one. So that's how we find it easiest to reuse them. I have tried silicone bags and all that sort of thing. They're too bulky and they're too hard to get clean, so they end up sitting in the freezer like these, and the cost, it's prohibitive cost-wise to have them sitting in a freezer. So I find that this works best for us. All right, seeing as I have broccoli and cauliflower like everywhere, I'm going to do the broccoli first before I start on the fruit. That way I don't have to the one lot of cleaning. Where'd my knife go? So I have veggie containers, this Tupperware one, and I have Kmart ones as well that have these baskets in them. I find that broccoli will last up to 2 weeks if I make sure to get it done as quickly as possible in these containers. Now, I always put paper towel in the bottom of the Tupperware ones because I find that it doesn't work properly otherwise. These baskets do a better job than that, but also because the broccoli is in a bucket that has water in the bottom at the moment because the ice is melted, so it's quite wet. So I may change this paper towel out once, put it all in here, sit it, and then when I go to eat it the first time I might put fresh paper towel in there just to keep it from going too moist. Broccoli also likes its vents open, so I always store it with the vents open because otherwise it goes yuck in the containers. So all I do is I just cut them in half. I need to grab some more. So yes, all I do. Now they've been sitting in a little bit of water because I didn't change the ice out and it's melted. So all I do is cut off any bits of the stem that are a bit waterlogged. I don't trim them anywhere near this much if I had got to them early, but I didn't. Then I tend to take the stem off, cut it in half and slide it down the edges, and then the head, I do the same thing. Cut it in half, place it in the container. So that's all I do, is I just cut them, trim them slightly, just because, as I said, they've been sitting in water. Normally I empty the water out and put new ice packs in there, but it's been a little bit messy this shopping trip. There's been a lot of stuff going on. So just like that, trimmed in half, put those in there to use for stir fry, and then the floret as well. We got some caterpillars, extra protein. So they just go in like that, and I'm just going to keep on going and fill as many containers as I can. So there we go. We've got the Tupperware container, 2 of the Kmart ones, and this one is an Amazon one, very similar to this, but in white. All the vents are open. This is half full. These are full. So these will go in the fridge. I will find room because broccoli is one of those vegetables that we love to eat fresh rather than any other way. We've tried a bunch of different ways. Fresh is about the only way I like it, though I'll probably eat it riced like we did the cauliflower. If I had to preserve it, that's probably how I'd do it. And in these containers, it will last 2 weeks, sometimes 3, so long as it was rinsed, it was sliced, it was put in here with any bad or soft bits taken off it, and there's some paper towel in the bottoms of them, and we keep the vents open and not too moist, and 2-3 weeks. So broccoli lasts really well like that. I just have to have room in the fridge to stick all the containers, which is sometimes a little bit of a challenge, but you saw there was plenty of room. I'm just going to move those grapes around a little bit. We might end up freezing some more. I'll see how I go, and these will fit in there. So that's the broccoli done. So now I'm going to clean all this up so that I can start on the dragon fruit. Okay, so we cut up the dragon fruit the other day to try some, and it's quite bland. It's pleasant enough, but it's not overly tasty. The kids will eat some of it, but not huge amounts. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to scoop it out of the skins, most of it. I'm going to cut some up into pieces to freeze on trays that the kids can use just to eat as is, like they eat all the fruit frozen. So I put all the grapes in Ziploc bags that were on here, and now I'm just going to, might do it in little triangles, little pie slice type things like that, and I'm just going to freeze it, flash freeze some like that, so that if they want to, they can just pull pieces out and eat it just frozen like they do all the other fruit. And the rest of it I'm going to puree up because dragon fruit's pretty high in vitamin C. Frozen fruit in smoothies and stuff helps keep the texture nice and thick. So by using this as a filler in smoothie pops and things like that, we've got the nutrient boost, but we've also got the thickening of it. So I think that's what these will predominantly be used for, because they're just a little mild tasting. Texture's fine. They're just, they're not real sweet. They're not real anything, these ones. So good filler for smoothies and things like that. And the kids might enjoy having some bits like this just to eat as well, because they like frozen fruit. But yeah, so all I'm going to do is I'm going to go through them all, scoop the middles out like that, put them all, fill this tray, get this tray in the freezer, and then I'll probably just puree up a bunch and use these new containers I bought. I would have liked the freezer pods from Kmart that have the lids, but they didn't have any, so I couldn't get them. So instead I got these, which is fine. It's just that lids is easier because you can stack them, but with these ones, because there's no lid and stuff, you have to lay them all flat until it's frozen, and then you can pop it out and put it in Ziploc bags or whatever, and that's fine. But initially they have to be flat and not stacked to freeze up. So anyway, the beauty of having a Thermomix though is that I can freeze in these big slabs, and the Thermomix will still puree it up into a smoothie. So, you know, there's that. Otherwise I'd have to do it all in pieces, and it would just be more time consuming, but also take up more space. So anyway, rambling, and I'm just gonna keep going. Alright, so I've filled a tray. That works out to be a dozen dragon fruit. So I'm going to stick that in the freezer as is and freeze it in those chunks. They're close enough together that some will stick, but it'll be fine. And then the plan is to fill some of these trays with it more minced up. I did contemplate, I do have the tops of strawberries in the freezer from last shopping trip, and I'll have some from this one probably. So I could do a dragon fruit strawberry cordial for the kids. I assume there's some dragon fruit jams maybe, though I don't know if they'd like it with the little seeds in it, but that could be interesting. I might have a quick Google on that. But yeah, so at least there's these chunks that they can eat straight out of the freezer if they want to. Otherwise it'll be used for smoothies as well, and then I'll keep on moving on. I did some Googling, and there is dragon fruit jam, though it's mostly done with the red one, not the white one, and jellies, like solid type jellies, which would be nice too. But what I think I'm going to do is I'm just going to puree it and freeze it for the moment, because I can do it from frozen. So I can use it from frozen to make cordial, to make jam, to make jellies, whatever I want. And what I might do is mix it with some like frozen strawberries or something, so that we've got the better colour when I do it, because I just don't really want to be doing it right now. I've got too much going on that if I was making a jam or a jelly or something, it would just take too much time. So I can freeze it and do those sorts of things later. There's enough room in the freezer currently to cope with that. So all I'm going to do is squeeze it all out of the shells and puree it and put it in these trays and get them frozen solid, and then they can go into Ziploc bags like I have the mango and the strawberries and anything else that I had last month that needed to be sorted. And then later on in the month, when I've got less to do, I can turn it into something else. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to fill the Thermomix up. I'll puree a jug just to show you what I'm planning and make sure it works. I don't know where my lid is, so I'm just going to use one of these to stop it from going everywhere. Should take very little time because it's a very soft fruit. And then just pour it straight in. It is very watery. I probably need to put these on a baking tray to move them to the freezer, or I'm going to make a mess. But that's all I'm going to do, is just fill these up and freeze it. So that was only 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and it might fill 2 trays. So we're probably going to have a bit more to use as well, but I'll let you know. I think what I decided a good option with these last dozen dragon fruits are, the boys quite like them, so they'll just eat them whole. So they might have a couple more of these over the next couple of days. I should have enough room in the fridge to stash these for the moment. What I might do is I might make some of the cranberry juice into jelly and suspend some of the fruit in that. But I don't have enough room in the fridge to have jelly containers flat at the moment. So, but I probably got enough room to toss these in the fridge somewhere for a little bit. And it's also 4 o'clock in the afternoon and I'm pooped. I've done enough today. I've got to start dinner shortly. So I think I'll stash these in the fridge for the moment. The boys can eat a couple more if they want throughout the next couple of days, and I'll get to them sometime in the next couple of days too, I suppose. But I think the jelly would be good. So I just need to clear some space in the fridge. The box of cucumbers and the box of zucchini are in there. So the zucchini can be shredded and frozen. The cucumbers, I don't know what I'll do with them yet. I probably need to do some cooking with them that we'd normally do, like some sushi or some rice paper rolls or something like that, before we do anything with them, and I might pickle some of them. We'll see. The kids eat them just, you've got weird glare at the moment, don't I? The kids eat them just like whole, but they're actually buried a little bit at the moment underneath the, they're on top of the zucchini, but they're buried a little bit underneath fruit and stuff. So, and there's so much fruit to be eaten as well. So I'm still figuring that out. This is part of the not being able to plan it exactly until I get home with it, because I don't know what I'm coming home with. So, but anyway, I think I'm going to start dinner now, and I think that I'll just leave off everything else for the moment. All right, tonight we're going simple. I'm going to make pesto pasta for the kids, one of their favourites, with some marinated chicken and some spinach. And Darryl and I will have the marinated chicken with some spinach, some broccoli and things like that as a creamy sauce sort of thing. The kids love pesto pasta. It's one of their most requested meals. And I normally save it for later on in the month when there's less around, but I'm tired. It's been a long day and I feel like some marinated chicken, and so that's what they're getting today. So chicken thighs, I tend to just slice them into fairly thin strips before I marinate them, because it just makes it easy to cook them. When they're in these thin strips, they cook really quickly in the cast iron pan, and it just makes my life easier. And then they're suitable for all sorts of things. Like we use them as the meat in wraps and stuff, or we use them in frittata, anything. Like when it's in a nice small marinated piece, then it's usable for everything. So, and because they're thighs, even though we refrigerate them, they don't dry out too much when you reheat them, because there's plenty of fat, and then we marinate them, of course. These always have a few little bone shards in certain spots that I try and find and remove before cooking, because there's nothing worse than chomping down on a bit when you're eating a meal. So I'm just going to go through. I will do this whole tray because it's just not worth putting some back in the fridge. It's easier to just marinate and cook a whole tray, use what we use for dinner, and the rest will go in the fridge for use for other things. So one tray ends up being about 2 kilos of chicken. As I said, I'll cook all this up in one go because I may as well, and then we'll have the leftovers tomorrow. So I have cowboy candy that I use generously in my marinade, because the sugar content makes the chicken nice and sticky when it's cooked, and it also gives it that sweet hit. There is carbs in cowboy candy, obviously, but I don't care. Basically, we have some smoked paprika, some garlic powder. I'm generous with all of these. I do have measurements to a degree in places, but not generally speaking. I don't measure. Onion powder. We have some pepper and some salt.
And we got 6 eggs. They're in my pockets.
And then I will massage this all through. I will add a bit of oil if it needs a bit more liquid, and then we'll cook it off. Alright, so just massage through, good colour on that, and all I do is cook that off in a bit of ghee in the pan. We're just going to cook it off slowly. I've got water on the boil for the kids' pasta. I'm just going to do penne for them, and I'll mix up the pesto sauce as well for that to go with it, and I'll just keep on going. Alright, so the base for the pesto pasta, we got half a dozen egg yolks. This is the normal one that I always make. We've got 2 jars of the basil pesto, a glug of lemon juice you can put in if you want. Yeah.
I haven't had one for a while. Glug? Is that a glug?
Yeah.
Okay, that's a glug.
A glug of lemon juice, and then
We don't need this for anything else?
we might put a little bit in our cream sauce. A little bit of cowboy candy. We got a 2nd jar of pesto, and that's it. So we just mix all that up together, and we're going to cook that off with the hot pasta. Now I will add the spinach now because then the hot pasta will also wilt the spinach. So generous amount of spinach in there. Mix that through the eggs, and then when we put the hot pasta water in there, it will cook the eggs, wilt the spinach, and then we'll add chicken to it. The chicken's pretty much cooked. We'll put that aside. Cook the broccoli off in one of these, the thermos over there, I suppose. Cook the broccoli off in one of these pans. I'll just add a little bit more ghee to it. Mushrooms. Do you want a little bit of onion in it as well?
Sure.
Grab me an onion and I'll cut some up. Can you check that pasta, Sonnet? So the pasta's cooked. Leave it in the water because we want some of that pasta water, and I'm going to mix it through this, which will cook the eggs and wilt the spinach, is the plan. Thank you.
Was it you who did that? Or was it Apollo?
I asked him if he was Christian. It's been.
And it said yes.
Yep.
You just add a little bit initially to warm that up so you don't scramble the eggs, and then you just keep adding the rest. There was a comment on the last video. Everyone said that we've got a family of hand models now. It's all your fault. Mini Darryls.
Poor kid.
So the kids are happy to eat this cold as leftovers as well, which is good. A little bit of extra pasta water in here to thin it out as well, and then Darryl's adding some chicken.
And just to clarify, that was a joke. That was in the chicken.
Yeah. Probably one more.
But I want the whole thing to just be chicken.
The leftovers can be had tomorrow.
Or had by Dad right now.
There we go. Super simple pasta, but the kids really, really like it. So there you go. Take it away.
Yoink. Ow.
Yeah, it's hot. Dork.
Hot thing is hot.
Mix the chicken into this, and that's what we're going to eat. So it looks a little, I suppose it's a stir fry realistically, but just a creamy one. I might grab some of the grana padano to sprinkle on it on the plate, and a bit of the garlic butter on top maybe. And yeah, that's what we did today. Not the most appealing looking meal, but it'll be tasty. So that is all for today. So I'll see you again tomorrow.